of the invasion of Iraq in Brooklyn at St. Anne's Warehouse. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Juan?
Well, a federal appeals court Thursday refused to overturn the conviction of imprisoned journalist and former Black Panther Mumia Abu-Jamal and rejected his call for a new trial. However, the long-awaited ruling said that Abu-Jamal, who has been on death row for 26 years, deserves a new sentencing hearing because of flawed jury instructions. That's if he's not sentenced purely just to life in prison without parole. If he's resentenced, he will face either death or life in prison without parole. Abu-Jamal was convicted for killing a white police officer in 1982 following a controversial trial before a predominantly white jury. Protests are scheduled for today in New York and San Francisco. We're
joined now in San Francisco by Robert Bryan, the lead counsel for Mumia Abu-Jamal. Welcome. PAM Africa has said this certainly is no victory. Can you explain exactly what the court ruled?
Well, good morning, Amy. And the decision in this case yesterday is really a mixed bag. On the one hand, the death penalty, the court threw out the death penalty in this case, even though Mumia remains on death row today. And if the state appeals or seeks further relief, nothing will change, at least for the present. The court did order a new jury trial on the issue of whether he should be on death row. In effect, what they did, as I said, was throw out the death penalty. So that's the good part of the decision. And having done this type of work, defended people facing the death penalty for over 3 decades, I can tell you any time the death penalty gets thrown out is a real victory. On the negative side, as Juan just pointed out, the jury, the court ruled against granting a new jury trial on the issue of guilt and innocence. And we were rather astounded that the court made that ruling. The silver lining to that ruling, to that dark cloud, is that it was a split court. We were before 3 judges. 2 judges ruled against us. A 3rd judge, Judge Ambrose, rendered a 41-page dissent in which he strongly criticized the majority and said that racism was at work in this case, that racism, that the prosecution engaged in removing people of color, African Americans, from sitting on the jury of Mumia Abu-Jamal. So that really gives us a roadmap, or if you will, a very bright light in the darkness of where we go from here, because my goal is to achieve a new trial for Mumia. I want him acquitted by a jury. My intent, as I've done in so many other cases, is to see him go home to his family, and that's the bottom line.
So now with this, since this was a decision, a split decision of a panel of the 3rd Circuit, is it possible then to appeal to the entire 3rd Circuit on this decision?
Well, Juan, you certainly have been doing your homework. That's exactly what we will be doing within the next few weeks, and that is, this was a decision by 3 judges, 2 to 1. Now we will be going before the entire court, all the judges, asking them to review this issue, and of course the biggie, the gorilla in the room, the elephant in the room, is the racism in jury selection. The district attorney's office in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, particularly during that period, in the early 80s, late 70s, and mid to late 80s, engaged in a pattern, this is judicially recognized, of removing people from sitting on juries because of race, because of the color of their skin. And when we argued this case before the 3-judge panel last May 17, I completed the argument by asking the rhetorical question, are we to believe that the district attorney did not engage in racism in jury selection in this case when it's judicially recognized it did in case after case both before and after the trial of Mumia Abu-Jamal? And, of course, the trial of Mumia Abu-Jamal was the biggest trial in the history of the city of Pennsylvania. And Mumia Abu-Jamal, as people certainly know, is a very activist writer, journalist. He's written 5 books from death row, and he's the person who's always bringing the authorities, the establishment, to task. He's very critical of abuse of government, people abusing power, of racism, that type of thing. And so racism was certainly at work in this case.
Can you talk about how the original jury was chosen? Robert Bryan, lead counsel for Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Well, it's interesting. Judge Ambrose, in his dissent, in the first paragraph, cited a case that I presented to the court just Monday. Snyder versus Louisiana, decided last week, March 19. And the U.S. Supreme Court, in a 7-2 decision, reaffirmed that the removal of even one person from sitting on a jury because of his or her race is constitutionally intolerable, unacceptable. And